Hi there, it's Lisa with Insight to Potential, which is a professional coaching service for parents. And I'm also the creator of Parent Leaders on Facebook in our Facebook tribe. So, welcome to all of you. So, today I have a confession to make, and I have my cards, my trusty cards here, so that I don't forget any points. But I have a confession to make. So on Thursday night, I was supposed to do a live presentation for you, a live training as it pertains to choosing the best school for your child. And unfortunately, I was unable to do the live presentation. It was the first time that that's ever had to happen. But it's life, and life gets in the way sometimes. And in fact, the confession part of it comes from the fact that it was a situation that was happening from a parent perspective, a situation that was happening with my own son. And so it was a pretty intense situation. And the result of that was that I ended up having to call upon my army of friends or of supports, my mom, my dad, and my sister. Thank God for them. And also my significant other, my fiance, who definitely got me through the day. And then being able to step back out of the situation with their support and remembering to practice what you preach. And so having to go back and utilize some of those strategies that I teach parents all the time in terms of practicing forgiveness and having that restorative time or that healing time that's necessary when something big happens in order to start making that progress forward. And so that's kind of the situation that happened on Thursday, where I wasn't able to connect with you. So my apologies for that. But I have to tell you that I want to be really honest with you. I have all kinds of knowledge and I have all kinds of insight that I can impart. I'm a fantastic coach, enthusiastic, and can probably guide you through just about anything. But at the very core of it, I'm no different than you. I am just a parent, and not just a parent, but I am a parent of a beautiful 12-year-old boy. And I go through the same kinds of things that you yourself go through. And I struggle, and I have to rely on my own strategies that I would ask you to use in order to get me through some of those hurdles. And so one of those strategies is the forgiveness strategy and the healing strategy. And so certainly if you're interested in learning more about that, it gets things back on track in a hurry. Which is good. It doesn't mean dragging out situations over weeks or days or weeks and having to prolong things when you utilize this strategy. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, I'm open to sharing that with anybody who's interested, and certainly you can comment below and let me know if you're interested, and I will connect with you. I also wanted to share with you what I originally set out to do on Thursday night, which was looking for the best possible school for your child. And so, this is really interesting. And I know that a lot of you that are new to the Facebook group came into the Parent Leaders Tribe because you were looking for support in terms of having your child just starting into the schooling system. But it's not just for those parents, it's also for parents of any school. And these are really signs and indicators that I think any parent should be looking for a wellness school, a well-rounded school, a school that any child can thrive in. And so here are some of the key indicators that I look for. Certainly I try to instill as a school principal, but also what I look for in terms of a school for my own son. And so what I'm looking for in terms of a school is certainly having that open door policy. I should be able to communicate with somebody when there's a problem. And God bless the school secretaries They can be very helpful. However, when I have a concern, when I'm upset about something, when I need to speak to somebody, I want to be able to connect with somebody that day. It doesn't necessarily mean that they need to make time for me on that day in terms of having a sit down meeting, but I do want to connect with somebody so that I can get an appointment time, or it might just be touching base over the phone for a quick call or for a quick just point of clarification. And so having that open door policy where I'm able to reach the principal, the vice principal, or even contact your child's teacher, even just for a few moments, or to set up that appointment time, that's critical, and that's a must for me on my list. Allowing parents to participate in the school is huge. I remember going into one particular school where I don't know what it was about. I don't know what it was about the culture. I don't know what had happened before me coming in. All I knew is that when I met with my parent council, it was made very clear to me that parents were not allowed. Parents were not allowed in the school. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense to me. We're all partners in education, and parents are a critical component. It can't just be about teacher-child or principal-child. It has to be the three of us working together. But it was very clear, even after having spoken to the teachers, that parents weren't allowed in the school. It was even so bizarre that when we had Meet the Teacher night, that it happened outside of the school building, meaning that we had the ice cream social and the barbecue or whatever it was outside, and that the parents weren't allowed in the building. That was crazy to me. And so doors flew open, parents were allowed in. I took some feedback from the teachers group, and then we moved forward because that was just a non-starter for me. If you're in a school environment whereby parents are not allowed to participate in the life of the school, that's a problem, and you would need to speak to your parent council and or your principal or vice principal to advocate for more opportunities for you to participate. Now, let's just be clear about something. Never ever would I advocate for a parent going into their own child's classroom to be a participant unless I was specifically asked by the classroom teacher to come and participate, whether it be for field trips or crafts or a particular kind of event in the classroom. Would I ever have a parent going in? There's all kinds of privacy issues, not for between the parent and the child, but I'm talking about other people's children that needs to be kept in order. Having said that, so outside of that circumstance, parents should be readily invited to any kind of school function, walkthroughs, art displays, schoolwork, science fairs, any kind of, and it should be co-created with your parent council, really. Different kinds of events that bring parents together. I was at a school where we didn't have a lot of money as a community. Our fundraisers were very poorly attended. Why? Because our community just didn't have the resources. And so as a school, and in conjunction with our parent council, we brainstormed different ideas that we could do to bring parents into the school and create the school as the community hub. So it wasn't academic, but what we did do is we had parents coming into the school for movie night, and we would set up different locations in the school. We had a location in the library, we had a location in the gym, we had locations in the classroom, and we had 3 or 4 different movies for different age groups, and parents and kids could come and hang out and watch movies together. And it was great. The teachers brought their children. I brought my son with me, and we all hung out together as a community. We had snack nights, and we had pajama nights. Yeah, pajama nights. That was fun. Parents, teachers, children, all coming into the school. We were all in our jammies. And what would happen was we would actually sit down and have story time together. We would have senior kids in their jammies reading stories to parents and children in the primary end. What I'm trying to get at is that it's, you can do so many different things. It's absolutely endless what you can do, but having parents being a part of the school is absolutely critical, and it's a must for on my list of what to look for when you're looking for a school. And so as a parent going in, I would ask, what do you offer parents to do throughout the course of the year? What does a typical year look like? How can parents get involved? We had parents getting involved in snack program. Parents, they were awesome. They would come in and they would wash all the fruits and vegetables, chop them up, and deliver them to classrooms. It was fantastic. Hour and a half every day. Parents were happy. Kids had fresh fruits and vegetables every day. It was just a really healthy way to build community. And so again, that's definitely on the checklist. When you're going into a school, look for student work everywhere and anywhere. I'm not talking about the fancy dancy posters that you buy at Scholar's Choice. Hate it. Told my teachers to take it down. Didn't like it. Minimal effort and doesn't tell me what the school is about. It doesn't tell me about the philosophy of the school. It doesn't tell me about what their values are. And it doesn't show me what kids are doing. I want to see what children are doing when I walk in. I want to see it alive with student work and not always art. I want to see math. I want to see science. I want to see projects. I want to see pieces of writing. I want to be able to see what other students are doing and what it looks like as I'm progressing from JK all the way up to grade 8 and beyond. What are the expectations? What does it look like as I'm going through, and how does it change? And it just gives me a flavor as a parent as to what it is I can expect later on. So really critical is to see that student work. It communicates a value that education is important, and even bigger than that, what the children work on and produce has value. Scholar's Choice, I love Scholar's Choice. I love all the different places that offer all those different supportive materials that can be used as a teaching aid. I'm not bagging on Scholar's Choice. What I'm trying to say is that the value isn't in the teaching aid or in the poster. The value is in the work that the children are producing. And if you're not seeing that, that's a big red flag. Your children are there to work and learn. They're spending 6.5 hours out of the day. It's the same thing as you going to work and writing reports and creating products and doing whatever it is your boss tells you to do, and him just throwing it on the desk somewhere with no acknowledgement and hanging up a poster and saying, here's the poster and this is who we are and this is what we value. There's something wrong with that. It sends the wrong message, and it doesn't put value where value is needing to be placed. And so looking for student work, critical. Okay, guys, straight up. You need to see your school principal or vice principal all the time. They need to be present. A vice principal or a school principal that is present in the school, walking the hallways, outside on yard duty, outside at the bus stop, meeting and greeting parents at the door, available at all of your events, whether it's hosted by a parent council, whether it's hosted by another group, a community group. Doesn't matter. Your principal, your vice principal, your teaching staff, they need to be present. But most importantly, your administrative staff. These are the people that set the tone for the school. The more connected your principal and vice principal are to the school and to the community and present to your children, the stronger the bond, the stronger the value, the stronger the school community will be. Where there is absence, You're going to find a lack of discipline, a lack of structure. You're going to have teachers or teaching groups operating in isolation. Discipline is not going to be steady or clear. And kids are going to feel disconnected from their primary source of control and structure that they need to operate in. And then really, when there is a problem, how do you connect with somebody you've never seen before? If you're being sent to the office to this mysterious person who you've never seen or had to experience, and you're being, as a child going to the office for discipline or whatever the case may be, that's scary. Children need to know that these people are just regular people, and while they do have control and offer the structure of the building, they shouldn't be afraid of them when they have to go in when they've made a mistake. They have to be ready and be able to accept responsibility for their actions. They need to be able to accept that who they see in the hallway is not necessarily who they're going to see when they go into the office, but there's going to be a balance there because they know that this isn't some mysterious pie in the sky, behind the curtains, Oz type person who's going to yell and scream at them and have this mysterious, all-encompassing power over them. It just doesn't work. And so, and I think it's intimidating to parents too. Principal and vice principal needs to be present. It's the sign of an excellent, well-oiled machine, and a true community type school. Firm but fair discipline. Always, always, always. And that goes to being a parent leader as well. And it is tough. But making sure that the child knows that you're not happy with the behavior, but you love them as the person is absolutely critical. Every child that I have come in contact with, every teacher knows, and I've been called on it several times before, knows that you will be disciplined for your actions, but by the time you leave my office, you will be told how much that you are loved, valued, and cared about, and that you're needed in our community, in our school community, to be your best and to do your best. Not perfect, but to be at your best. And I'd have teachers question me all the time. They'd send the child down to the office, the child would go back, and the child would be okay. And they would say, Lisa, what happened? You didn't discipline the child. You didn't give them a detention. You didn't, yell at them. And I would have to explain to the teacher, look, that's not what fair and loving discipline looks like. Fair, firm, loving discipline lets a child know what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, the appropriate consequence that goes with the action, but that it doesn't take yelling, screaming, berating, belittling, because none of that helps. They need to know that their person is still loved and that they have value. And sometimes it would take a little bit of coaching with teachers to understand that in the long run, the reward of that strategy was far greater than the yelling, the screaming, the belittling, and all of those sorts of things. From a teacher perspective, they thought it was me letting them get away with murder or me letting them, walk all over me or walk all over the teacher, and that I wasn't, standing up for value. But that wasn't the case at all. There were times, and I have certain students that can attest to this, where they were suspended from school because that's what their action merited, was a suspension, because it was a matter of student safety. It was a matter of them needing to be removed from the environment for a short period of time in order to give them a fresh start the next day. But they were also told before they left the building, and again when they came back in, that they were loved and that they were valued. And so finding a school and teachers that have fair, firm, but a loving strategy approach to discipline is absolutely essential in choosing your school. And so I would ask, how do you handle school discipline? How do you speak to a 4-year-old? How is that different when you speak to a child who's 12 or 13 or 14 or somewhere in between? And so that's a big one for me on my list. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is communication. It's the last one that I want to address before I go into specialty schools, which will be just in a few minutes' time. I want to see lots of communication as a parent. And with technology being what it is, and children being who they are, sometimes the newsletter doesn't always work. And so, but newsletters certainly fine, blogging, fantastic, websites, fantastic, frequent and often communication, great. They have brand new apps out there whereby parents and schools can instantaneously send pictures and communication. If that's something that your school doesn't have, I would certainly be bringing that forward to your parent council, your teacher, or your principal for up-to-date information about how you can communicate more readily. And I'll just give you a simple example. There's an app called Remind, and there's many more like it. So it's certainly not the only one. But there are those certain situations where you need to talk to parents and you need to talk to them right now. And there's an emergency that happens, whether it's a school lockdown or there's inclement weather or there's bus delays or whatever. There's a whole host of situations that can happen. With those particular apps, parents can get real-time information to their inbox, to their text. And it's not even through email, because I find even with email, parents don't always get onto email to check. This is going right to their messenger or to your messenger so that you're getting it in real time immediately that, hey, buses are running behind by 45 minutes because there's been a massive snowfall or there's been an accident on the roadway and traffic is backed up, or we're on lockdown for some kind of circumstance that's happening outside of our control. And please stay tuned to the news for updated information about what's happening to our school and what's happening to your children and so on. So many different circumstances out there. Communication is vital. And so if you're new to the school, or if you don't have those things in place right now with your child's school, I would definitely be getting on that or asking those critical questions about what you can do to improve communication with parents. And when I'm talking about communication as well, I'm not talking about the minutia of student progress every single step of the way. That's something for you to negotiate between the classroom teacher and you as a parent. There should be a system of communication in place, whether it's the agenda, whether it's through an app, a blog, whether it's through little meetings that you have, parent-teacher interview, and so on. Those are all vital and critical, and I'm not negating that. But I'm also talking about communication on a bigger level that needs to be present in the school. Quick little note about specialty schools for those of you that are just starting to get into the schooling system, about choosing whether or not you want to send your child to a French language school, a Spanish language school, maybe it's an athletics school. This is what I want you to know. I want you to really and truly, before you make any decisions, you should be going through all of those different things that we just talked about and really take your time to investigate all of those different aspects of that particular school environment to ensure at the very base that's being provided. The next thing you need to do is get real honest about who your child is. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way, but But sometimes as parents, we have really fanciful ideas and dreams about who our children are and who we want them to be. But I need you to know that's not born of them. That's born of your value that you are imposing on your child. You need to take the rose-colored glasses off and look at your child. Chances are, if your child has hearing difficulties, vision difficulties, learning difficulties early on, has speech and language difficulties early on when they're 1, 2, 3, 4, chances are they are not going to flourish in a second language school, and it's going to add further stress, further complication to your child's learning process. Be realistic. Be supportive of who your child is. If your child has any of those, it doesn't matter. The schooling system will get them caught up with your support, working in conjunction with the school and community supports. Your child is going to find success as they are and as they were created. So long as that, you are being realistic about their talents, their strengths, and their weaknesses. That's critical. It's not easy, but it's critical. And it's about being honest. And I think at the base of a lot of struggles that parents have is that we don't set for ourselves a level of realistic expectations for ourselves as parents. We don't set for ourselves a realistic expectation for our children, and oftentimes find ourselves putting too much pressure on our children, and things seem to or tend to fall apart at that point. So stepping back from all of that, taking a look at all of those different things that I've mentioned before about what creates a good school, and then getting really honest with yourself about what you value and who your child really is, that's when you're really starting to step into parent leadership. That's when you start claiming your confidence. That's when you start claiming your ability to be strong and make good, healthy decisions and leading your child through their educational career with good quality emotional support, loving, firm discipline, and all of those other things your children need from you in order to thrive, in order to be successful. And so, with that, if your child's not getting what they need from your school, then what I would suggest is, if you've gone through all of those steps, if you've spoken to the principal countless times and the teachers countless times, and it's coming to a place where where your child is no longer thriving and it's doing emotional damage to your child, then you need to start to look for another school. Your child needs sometimes a fresh start. Would that be my first choice? Absolutely not. It would be your last resort, because inherent to pulling your child out of a school and moving them to a different school comes, of course, a whole host of other circumstances that you're going to have to be a leader in and helping them navigate those changes, it's not always easy. However, it is an option, and it may be something that you need to look at in order to provide both you and your child a fresh start, so they have that opportunity to shine through, to thrive, and to be successful. So I'm going to leave it at that for today. I encourage you to comment. I would love to interact with you. I am going to offer a live event coming up this week. And I look forward to doing that. We'll be posting that shortly. But if you have any questions about anything that I've presented to you today, or even going back and talking about that forgiveness healing strategy, I would love to share that with you. Feel free to comment below this post. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your family. I hope you enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk soon. Take care.